In this lecture, we want to talk about simplifying rational expressions. Rational expressions should always be written in simplest form, sometimes called lowest terms. If you look at our example here, a rational expression equals P times C over Q times C, we can divide out the factor C and are left with P times Q. C is going to be the greatest common factor. Now, I need to be careful about factors. You need to remember that factors always multiply each other. If I look at the example I have in question 1 here, people often want to cross off x squared. But if you do that, I'm taking your pencils away. No. People often want to divide 4 by 2. No. If you do that, I'm also taking away your eraser. No. Factors multiply each other. And what we see here is that we have addition. That means that each of these parts are known as a term. Remember that we have a polynomial of 3 terms on the numerator, a polynomial of 3 terms on the denominator. These are not factors. In fact, in terms of orders of operation, we would think about this as having a bracket around the numerator and a bracket around the denominator. They belong together. You can't divide anything out. So how do we find the factors? Well, that's why step 1 is really important. You need to factorize or factor the numerator and the denominator. Always your first step. Find the factors. Pause your video, factor the numerator and the denominator. Now I hope you could see we have common factors. And the second step is to divide out any common factors. But remember that the division is dividing from the numerator and the denominator. So we see that we have x plus 2 divided by x plus 2, which equals 1. So we're left with x plus 2 all over x plus 1. I don't think Pearson asks for the restrictions, but we're going to practice finding them. What values of x are not permitted? Well, it's pretty easy to see here that x cannot equal -1 because x plus 1 cannot equal 0. But it's not enough to only look at our finished answer. We have to go back to where the question starts. I see here another factor. We already used this one, x cannot equal -1, but here we see that x cannot equal -2 as well. So you always have to use the entire denominator, not just the simplified form. Let's look at one more example in this video lesson. Let's simplify this expression. Why don't you pause your video, factor the numerator and the denominator. Now we see we have common factors of x plus 1. We can divide those out. Our simplified expression, 6x minus 5 all over 3x minus 2. Pause your video now and find the restrictions. Remember, we need to go back to the entire factor denominator. There are 2 values of x here. That tells me we're going to have 2 restrictions. X cannot equal -1 is the easier one, but for that second factor, you might want to let it equal or not equal 0 and then solve. Two restrictions. Maybe watch that again, and then in the next video, there are some more practice questions for you.